Captain Jake Morrison stared at the massive display screen on the bridge of the Earth defense ship Resilience. What he saw made his blood run cold. Hundreds of alien ships drifted toward Earth's solar system, their hulls dark and scarred. Some were barely holding together. "Sir, we're getting weak signals from the lead ship," reported Communications Officer Lisa Parker. Her fingers moved quickly over her console. It's a distress call." Jake had been captain for 8 years, but nothing had prepared him for this moment. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer, and it was coming straight at them. "How many ships?" Jake asked. "At least 400, sir. Maybe more. Some are so damaged our sensors can barely detect them." Lisa's voice was steady, but Jake could hear the tension underneath. Jake activated the ship's communication system. "All stations, this is Captain Morrison. We have first contact with an alien species. Everyone stay calm and follow protocols." The bridge crew worked silently, their training taking over despite the historic moment. Commander Ryan Hayes moved to stand beside Jake. Ryan had been his friend since the academy, and Jake was glad to have him here. "What do you think they want?" Ryan whispered. Before Jake could answer, the main screen flickered. An alien face appeared, and several crew members gasped. The being had blue, almost transparent skin that seemed to glow softly. Its eyes were large and silver, and when it spoke, the words came directly into their minds. "People of Earth," the alien said, its mental voice carrying deep sadness. "I am Elder Cathara of the Zephyrian people. We come to you not as conquerors, but as refugees seeking shelter." Jake felt his heart racing. The alien was speaking directly into his thoughts, but somehow it didn't feel wrong or invasive. It felt desperate. "We number over 2 million souls," Cathara continued. "Our ships are failing. Our people are dying. We have traveled far across the stars, seeking someone who might show us mercy." Lisa worked frantically at her station. "Captain, I'm detecting massive life support failures across their fleet. They're not lying about the dying part." Jake made a decision that would change human history forever. He activated the communication array and spoke aloud, hoping the aliens could understand. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of Earth. Elder Cathara, why are you refugees? What happened to your people?" The alien's mental voice carried pain that seemed to echo in everyone's minds. "We were cast out from our home in the Galactic Consortium. For 3,000 years, the Consortium has ruled over hundreds of worlds. They maintain order through a simple rule. Primitive species must be eliminated before they can threaten galactic peace." Ryan stepped forward. "Eliminated? You mean murdered?" "Yes," Cathara replied. "When young civilizations are discovered, the Consortium sends fleets to destroy them. We Zephyrians served the Consortium faithfully for generations. We believed it was necessary for the greater good." The bridge fell silent except for the hum of machinery. Jake felt sick thinking about what the alien was describing. 6 months ago, we discovered a world called Altair 7. The people there had just learned to fly. They had art, music, families. They were no threat to anyone. Cathara's mental voice grew stronger. "When the Consortium ordered us to destroy them, we refused." Dr. Amy Foster, the ship's scientist, spoke up from her station. "What happened then?" "We were declared traitors. The Consortium took our homeworld and cast us into space. They said any who helped us would face the same fate. For 6 months, we have searched for someone brave enough to risk helping us." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was watching him, waiting for his decision. 2 million alien refugees were dying in space, asking for help. But helping them might bring this galactic consortium to Earth. "Sir," Lisa said quietly, "I'm getting reports from Earth Command. They're monitoring our communications." A new voice crackled over the radio. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Kate Morgan. Maintain position and await orders." But Jake was looking at the alien fleet on his screen. Ships were going dark one by one as their power failed. Each dark ship meant thousands of lives lost. "Elder Cathara," Jake said, "how long can your people survive?" "Perhaps 3 days, Captain Morrison." "No more," Jake made his choice. "Admiral Morgan, this is Captain Morrison. I'm requesting immediate humanitarian assistance for 2 million refugees." "Negative, Captain. We need to assess the threat level first." But even as the Admiral spoke, Jake could see President Alex Cooper's face appearing on government news feeds across Earth. The President was addressing the world. "My fellow humans," President Cooper said, "today we face a choice that will define who we are as a species. 2 million beings are dying in our solar system, asking for our help. They were cast out for refusing to commit genocide. Jake smiled. He should have known the president would make the right choice. These Zephyrians chose mercy over obedience, the president continued. They lost everything for refusing to murder innocents. Now they come to us, hoping that humanity might be different from those who cast them out. On the screen, Elder Cathara's silver eyes seemed to brighten with hope. I have made my decision, President Cooper announced. Earth will provide sanctuary to these refugees. We will not turn away beings who were punished for showing compassion. The bridge erupted in quiet celebration. Lisa wiped tears from her eyes as she opened communication channels to coordinate the rescue effort. Elder Cathara, Jake said, on behalf of humanity, I welcome you to our solar system. We will help your people. The alien's mental voice carried overwhelming gratitude. Captain Morrison, you cannot know what this means. In all our travels, no species has been willing to risk the consortium's anger to help us. Then they haven't met humans yet, Ryan said with a grin. As the Resilience moved toward the alien fleet, Jake felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had chosen to begin their galactic story not with conquest or fear, but with an act of mercy. Behind them, Earth's rescue ships were already launching, loaded with medical supplies and engineers. 2 million refugees were about to learn that sometimes in the darkest moments, strangers become family. Jake watched the alien ships growing larger on his screen and wondered what challenges lay ahead. He didn't know that their choice to help would soon put Earth itself in terrible danger. But he knew they had made the right decision. Sometimes doing what's right matters more than doing what's safe. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrian fleet arrived at Earth. What started as a rescue mission had become the biggest challenge humanity had ever faced. Dr. Lisa, Parker stood in the observation deck of New Haven, the massive space station built in Earth's orbit specifically for the refugees. Through the thick windows, she could see Zephyrian families walking through the station's parks. Their blue, glowing skin looked beautiful under the artificial sunlight, but Lisa knew they were struggling. Earth's gravity was too strong for them, and breathing Earth's air made them sick. The atmospheric processors are working at 90% efficiency, reported engineer Ben Torres as he joined Lisa at the window. But we're still losing about 50 Zephyrians each week to respiratory complications. Lisa nodded sadly. Despite humanity's best efforts, the integration wasn't going smoothly. The Zephyrians needed a very specific mix of gases to breathe properly, and their bodies worked differently from humans in almost every way. Any progress on the gravity issue? Lisa asked. Danny Clark thinks he's found a solution, Ben replied. That kid is brilliant. He's been working with a Zephyrian engineer named Neroth. They're developing some kind of gravity adjustment field. Lisa had heard about Danny. At only 25, he was one of Earth's top engineers, and apparently he had become friends with several young Zephyrians. It was rare to see humans and aliens working together so closely. A soft chime indicated someone entering the observation deck. Colonel Sam Mitchell walked up to them, his face serious as always. As head of security for New Haven, Sam dealt with problems that most people never heard about. We had another incident yesterday, Sam said quietly. A group calling themselves Earth First tried to sabotage one of the atmospheric processors. Anyone hurt? Lisa asked. No, but it's getting worse. Half the humans on Earth think we're making a mistake helping the Zephyrians. They're scared of the mind-reading thing. Lisa understood the fear. When Zephyrians communicated, they could sense human thoughts nearby. Most Zephyrians tried to be polite and avoid reading human minds, but accidents happened. Some humans felt like their privacy was being invaded. What about the other half? Ben asked. Sam smiled for the first time. The other half think the Zephyrians are amazing. Dr. Amy Foster says their medical technology could eliminate cancer completely, and the energy systems they're sharing with us are incredible. It was true. The Zephyrians had brought knowledge that was advancing human science by hundreds of years. Their biotechnology could heal injuries that human doctors thought were impossible to fix. Their energy systems were so efficient that Earth's power problems might soon be solved forever. Speaking of Dr. Foster, Lisa said, isn't she supposed to present her findings today? They made their way to the station's main conference room where a crowd had gathered. Dr. Amy Foster stood at the front with a tall Zephyrian named Velthara. The alien's blue skin glowed brighter when she was excited, and right now she was practically shining. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Foster began, What we're about to show you will change medicine forever. On the large screen behind them appeared images of human cells being repaired by Zephyrian biotechnology. Lisa watched in amazement as damaged tissue rebuilt itself in seconds. The Zephyrians don't just treat diseases, Dr. Foster explained. Their technology teaches the body to fix itself. We've successfully cured diabetes, heart disease, and even some forms of paralysis. The room erupted in excited whispers. Filthara stepped forward, her mental voice reaching everyone present. "This is why we were cast out," she said sadly. "The consortium believes that sharing advanced technology with primitive species is dangerous. But we believe knowledge should be used to help, not to control." An older man in the back raised his hand. "What about the reports that you can read our minds? How do we know you won't control us?" Belthara's glow dimmed slightly. "We understand your fear. In our culture, sharing thoughts is how we show trust and love. But we are learning that humans value privacy differently. We are trying to respect this." Danny Clark stood up from the front row. Beside him sat a young Zephyrian with darker blue skin. "I'd like everyone to meet my friend Neroth. We've been working together for 3 months, and I can honestly say he's never tried to read my thoughts without permission." Neroth's mental voice was gentle. "Danny has taught me much about human friendship. You form bonds through shared experiences rather than shared thoughts. It is a beautiful way to connect." Lisa felt her heart warm at the sight of the two young engineers. If they could become friends despite their differences, maybe there was hope for both species. Colonel Sam stepped forward. "I have an announcement. As of today, we're implementing new protocols to help both species feel more comfortable. Zephyrians will wear special badges when they need to use telepathy for work. Humans will have private zones where telepathic scanning is completely forbidden." Dr. Foster nodded approvingly. "We're also setting up cultural exchange programs. Humans and Zephyrians will live and work together in small groups, learning from each other." After the meeting, Lisa found herself walking through New Haven's commercial district with Ben and Danny. Human and Zephyrian vendors sold goods side by side. She stopped at a stall where a Zephyrian artist was creating sculptures that seemed to change shape as she watched. "It responds to emotions," Danny explained. "Zephyrian art is designed to make you feel different things. This one is supposed to create a sense of peace." Lisa stared at the flowing, ever-changing sculpture and felt her stress melting away. It's working. They continued walking until they reached the communications center where the most important work was happening. Danny and Nyroth had built something amazing here, a quantum communications array that combined human engineering with Zephyrian energy manipulation. "Show her," Danny said excitedly. Nyroth touched a crystal panel with his long, thin fingers. Instantly, the array activated, sending a signal across the galaxy faster than light itself. "We can now communicate with any part of the galaxy instantly," Nyroth explained. "Your internet technology, combined with our quantum crystals, has created something neither species could build alone." Ben whistled in amazement. "That's incredible. We could talk to anyone, anywhere in the galaxy." "If there's anyone left to talk to," Danny said quietly. "The Zephyrians weren't the only species cast out by the consortium. There might be other refugees out there looking for help." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "You mean there are others?" "Many others," Neroth replied sadly. "Dozens of species have been destroyed or exiled for refusing to follow consortium orders. Most are probably dead by now." Before anyone could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the station. Colonel Sam's voice echoed over the intercom system. "All personnel to emergency stations. We have detected a large fleet approaching from deep space. This is not a drill." Lisa felt her heart stop. Through the communication array's screens, she could see the approaching ships. There were hundreds of them, all bearing the symbol of the Galactic Consortium. Danny grabbed Nyroth's arm. "They found us, didn't they?" The young Zephyrian's glow faded to almost nothing. "Yes, the consortium has come to punish Earth for helping us." As emergency lights flashed red throughout New Haven, Lisa realized that humanity's greatest test was just beginning. They had chosen to help refugees 6 months ago. Now they would learn the true price of that compassion. But looking around at the humans and Zephyrians working together, preparing to face whatever came next, Lisa felt something stronger than fear. She felt hope. They were no longer alone. Admiral Kate Morgan stood in the command center of Earth Defense Headquarters, staring at the tactical display that showed her worst nightmare. 537 consortium ships were approaching Earth, and they weren't coming to talk. How long until they reach us? She asked. 72 hours, Admiral, replied Captain Marcus Bell, her best pilot and reconnaissance specialist. I took the Falcon as close as I dared. The lead ship is 3 times bigger than anything we've ever built. Kate felt the weight of humanity's survival on her shoulders. Earth's entire defense fleet consisted of 47 ships, most of them designed for asteroid mining or space construction, not warfare. They were about to face the most powerful military force in the galaxy. What about weapons? She asked. The big ships have planet killers, Admiral, Marcus said quietly. Weapons that can crack a world in half. A chill ran through the command center. Everyone had heard rumors about such weapons, but nobody wanted to believe they were real. Dr. Kevin Ross entered the room carrying a thick folder. As Earth's top expert on alien cultures, Kevin had been studying everything the Zephyrians had told them about the consortium. His face was grim. Admiral, I found something important in the consortium records that Elder Kithera shared with us, Kevin said. Earth isn't a random target. We're part of a pattern. Kate turned to face him. What kind of pattern? Kevin activated the main display, showing a map of the galaxy. Red dots marked dozens of star systems. Every red dot represents a species that was destroyed by the consortium in the last 1,000 years. But look at this carefully. He highlighted certain systems in yellow. These species weren't destroyed for being technologically advanced or militarily dangerous. They were destroyed for one specific reason. They showed compassion to other species. The room fell silent as everyone absorbed this information. The Altarians helped rescue survivors from a plague on a nearby world, Kevin continued. The Kepler nomads shared their resources with refugees from a dying planet. The people of Vega Prime refused to abandon their allies during a war. Admiral Morgan felt sick. You're saying the consortium destroys anyone who shows mercy? Exactly. They don't just want to control the galaxy through fear. They want to eliminate the very concept of compassion. Every time a species chooses to help others instead of themselves, the consortium marks them for death. General Tim Wade, who had been listening quietly, stepped forward. So by helping the Zephyrians, we've proven that humanity is exactly the kind of species they want to destroy. Yes, Kevin replied. But there's more. According to these records, there are survivors. Small groups of refugees from all these destroyed worlds are still alive, hiding in the dark spaces between stars. Marcus Bell looked up from his tactical station. That quantum communications array that Danny Clark and Nyroth built. Could we use it to contact these survivors? Before anyone could answer, President Alex Cooper walked into the command center. The president looked tired but determined. Admiral Morgan, what are our options? The president asked. Kate straightened her shoulders. Honestly, sir, we can't win a direct fight. Our best hope is to evacuate as many people as possible before they arrive. No, the president said firmly. We don't run. We don't abandon the Zephyrians. If the consortium wants to destroy compassion in this galaxy, they'll have to go through humanity first. General Wade looked concerned. Sir, with respect, it's suicide. We can't protect Earth against 500 warships. President Cooper walked to the large window overlooking Earth. The blue planet hung peaceful and beautiful in space, unaware of the approaching danger. Maybe we can't win, the president said. But maybe winning isn't the point. Maybe the point is to show the galaxy that some things are worth dying for. Dr. Kevin Ross suddenly looked excited. Sir, what if we don't have to die? What if there's another way? Everyone turned to look at him. The quantum communications array, Kevin explained quickly. If we can contact the refugee survivors, tell them what's happening here. They might come to help us, Admiral Morgan finished. A fleet of survivors from dozens of dead worlds. Marcus Bell was already heading for the door. I'll get to New Haven immediately. If we're going to call for help, we need to do it now. 2 hours later, Marcus stood with Danny Clark and Nyroth in the communications center aboard New Haven Station. The quantum array hummed with power as they prepared to send humanity's first message to the galaxy. Are you sure this will work? Marcus asked. Danny nodded confidently. The array can reach anywhere in the galaxy instantly. If there are survivors out there, they'll hear us. Nyroth's blue skin glowed brighter with concentration. Many species were scattered when their worlds died. But refugees share information. If one group hears us, they will tell others. Marcus activated the communication system and began broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Captain Marcus Bell of Earth. We are calling all survivors of consortium persecution. Earth has given shelter to 2 million Zephyrian refugees. Now the consortium is coming to destroy us for showing compassion. He paused, thinking about what President Cooper had said. We are not asking you to die for us, but if you believe that mercy is worth fighting for, if you think the galaxy should be more than just fear and control, then join us. Help us show the consortium that their victims refuse to stay silent anymore. For several minutes, only static came through the speakers. Then slowly voices began to respond. This is Captain Thera of the Altarian survivors. We remember Earth's message of hope. We are coming. Kepler Nomad Fleet responding. We have been waiting 300 years for someone to stand against the consortium. We stand with Earth. Vegan refugee ships acknowledging. Our people died for showing mercy. We will not let Earth die for the same reason. More and more voices joined the chorus. Ships that had been hiding in asteroid fields and dark nebulae for centuries were emerging, heading toward Earth. Danny stared at the communication board in amazement. How many are there? Neroth was glowing so brightly now that Marcus had to shield his eyes. Hundreds of ships, maybe thousands. Every species the consortium tried to destroy. Some survived, and now they are all coming here. Back on Earth, Admiral Morgan watched her tactical display as new contacts appeared throughout the solar system. Strange ships of dozens of different designs were arriving from every direction. Some were barely functional, held together with salvaged parts. Others were sleek and advanced, having hidden in the galaxy's edge for generations. Admiral, reported her communications officer, we're getting contact from a ship calling itself the Last Hope. The captain says he represents the survivors of 43 different worlds. Kate activated the main screen. The alien face that appeared was unlike anything she had ever seen. Part machine, part organic. Clearly someone who had been through terrible ordeals. People of Earth, the alien captain said. I am Commander Zarek of the United Refugee Fleet. For 800 years, we have hidden from the consortium like frightened children. Today you have given us something we thought was lost forever. Hope. Kate felt tears in her eyes. Commander Zarek, how many ships do you have? Over 2,000, Admiral. Not all are warships, but all carry people who remember what it means to choose right over wrong. As ships continued to arrive from across the galaxy, Kate realized that humanity had done something incredible. By choosing to help the Zephyrians, they had awakened something the consortium thought they had destroyed. The will to fight back. The galaxy's forgotten victims were coming home to Earth, ready to stand together against their oppressors. For the first time since the consortium fleet was detected, Kate Morgan smiled. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Defiance, Earth's newest and most advanced warship. Around him, the strangest fleet in galactic history prepared for battle. Human ships flew alongside vessels from dozens of alien species, all united by a shared experience of loss and a desperate hope for victory. Status report, Jake called out. 2,300 ships in our combined fleet, reported Commander Ryan Hayes from the tactical station. The consortium force is down to 490 ships after some of their lighter vessels turned back. Jake studied the tactical display. Even with the refugee fleet's help, they were still badly outnumbered. Worse, the consortium ships were better armed and armored than anything the refugees could field. What about the planet killers? Jake asked. 3 of them, sir. Each one capable of cracking Earth like an egg. Ryan's voice was grim. If even one of those weapons reaches firing range. A new voice crackled over the communication system. Earth ships, this is Commander Zarek of the refugee fleet. Are you ready to begin the attack? Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was a mix of humans and Zephyrians now, working together as if they had trained for years. At the weapons station, Dr. Lisa Parker worked alongside a tall alien named Corvex, the former Zephyrian military leader who had become their tactical advisor. As ready as we'll ever be, Jake replied. Remember everyone, the priority is stopping those planet killers. Everything else is secondary. Far below on Earth's surface, Sergeant Maya Price led her team through the underground tunnels beneath New York City. If the space battle failed, consortium troops would land on Earth within hours. Maya's job was to make sure they received a very unwelcome reception. How many more civilians need to be evacuated? Maya asked her lieutenant. About 50,000 still in the target zones, Sergeant. They're moving as fast as they can. Maya nodded grimly. President Cooper had refused to abandon Earth, but he wasn't stupid. Non-essential civilians were being moved to safety, while military forces prepared for the worst ground invasion in human history. Back in the orbital medical stations, Dr. Amy Foster worked frantically with her Zephyrian partner Simnara to complete their most important project. They had discovered that human and Zephyrian biotechnology could create something amazing: living energy shields that could protect entire cities. "How many more shield generators do we need?" Amy asked, her hands moving quickly over alien controls that she was still learning to use. 12 more for complete coverage," Simnara replied, her blue skin flickering with exhaustion. "But Amy, even if we finish them, we need enormous amounts of power to activate them." Amy smiled tiredly. "Leave that to Danny and Nyroth. Those two have been working on a power solution for weeks." In the engineering section of New Haven Station, Danny Clark and his Zephyrian friend Nyroth were indeed putting the finishing touches on their masterpiece. They had connected every power source in the solar system: Earth's fusion reactors, solar satellites, even the engines of the refugee ships, into one massive energy grid. "Think it will work?" Danny asked, sweat dripping down his face. Nyroth's glow pulsed with determination. "It has to work. If we cannot protect Earth's surface, all of this fighting will be meaningless." The first explosions lit up space as the two fleets met between Earth and Mars. Jake watched in amazement as refugee ships, some held together with scrap metal and hope, threw themselves at the massive consortium dreadnoughts. "Direct hit on Consortium Ship 7, Ryan called out. "The Altarian survivors are targeting their shield generators." Jake saw the tactical wisdom immediately. The refugee fleet couldn't match the consortium in raw firepower, but they knew exactly where to hit their enemies. These were beings who had survived consortium attacks before. "All ships follow the refugees' lead," Jake broadcast. "They know these ships' weaknesses." The battle became a deadly dance of small, fast ships darting around massive cruisers. Human vessels provided covering fire while alien survivors used their knowledge of consortium technology to strike at critical systems, but the planet killers were still advancing. "Jake," called Dr. Lisa Parker from her station, "Korvac says he knows how to disable those weapons, but someone has to get inside the flagship." Jake turned to look at the Zephyrian commander. Korvax had fought for the consortium for decades before his people's exile. If anyone knew their ships, it was him. "What do you need?" Jake asked. Korvax's mental voice carried grim determination. "A boarding party. The planet killers are controlled from the flagship's central command. If we can reach it, consider it done," Jake replied. He activated the fleet communication system. "Lieutenant Colonel Emma Stone, prepare your Marines for a boarding action." Emma Stone was Earth's best Special Forces officer, and she had spent months training with Zephyrian warriors. If anyone could successfully board a consortium flagship during a space battle, it was her. "Understood, Captain Morrison." Emma's voice crackled over the radio. "We'll take that ship." The boarding shuttle Lightning shot through the chaos of battle, dodging laser fire and missile explosions. Inside, Emma sat with 20 human Marines and 10 Zephyrian warriors, all wearing the hybrid armor that combined human engineering with alien technology. "Remember," Emma said over the comm system, "Korvac says the command center is 12 levels down from the main docking bay. We go in fast, hit hard, and complete the mission." The shuttle shook as it landed hard in the consortium flagship's bay. The doors burst open and Emma's team charged out, their weapons firing at the surprised consortium troops. Emma had fought in 3 wars, but nothing had prepared her for fighting aliens. The consortium soldiers were tall, gray-skinned beings with 4 arms and natural armor. But they had never faced humans before, and Emma's team used speed and aggression to overcome their enemies. "Korvax, which way?" Emma shouted as they fought through the ship's corridors. The Zephyrian pointed down a hallway with his weapon. "This way. The command center is close." Meanwhile, back on Earth, Danny Clark's fingers flew over the power grid controls as the bioquantum shields activated one by one over major cities. Through the orbital cameras, he could see shimmering domes of energy covering New York, London, Tokyo, and dozens of other cities. "It's working," he shouted to Nyroth. "The shields are holding." Just in time. Several consortium ships had broken through the battle lines and were firing their regular weapons at Earth. But instead of destroying cities, their attacks crashed harmlessly against the bioquantum barriers. In the flagship's command center, Emma and her team burst through the doors to find a dozen consortium officers working at control stations. The aliens turned in surprise, but they were too late. "Corvex, do your thing," Emma ordered. The Zephyrian warrior rushed to the main control panel, his hands moving quickly over familiar controls. "I'm disabling the planet killer weapons. But Jake, you need to destroy this ship quickly. I cannot hold the systems offline for long." On the Defiance, Jake received Corvex's message and made a split-second decision. "All ships concentrate fire on the flagship. Emma, get your people out of there now." The combined fleet turned their weapons on the massive consortium command ship. Explosions erupted across its hull as hundreds of ships fired everything they had. Emma and her team ran through collapsing corridors as the flagship began to break apart around them. They reached their shuttle just as the ship's hull started cracking. "Go, go, go!" Emma shouted as the lightning blasted away from the dying flagship. Behind them, the consortium command ship exploded in a brilliant flash, taking the planet killer controls with it. "Planet killers are offline," Ryan reported from the Defiance. "The remaining consortium ships are retreating." But Jake knew the battle wasn't over yet. The real victory would come from what they discovered in the wreckage, and what it would mean for the future of the galaxy. As rescue ships moved to collect survivors from both sides, Jake realized that this battle had changed everything. The galaxy's victims had finally fought back and won. 3 weeks after the battle, Captain Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of the captured consortium flagship Dominion. The massive ship had been badly damaged but not destroyed, and what they found inside had shocked everyone. Dr. Kevin Ross met Jake at the entrance to the ship's medical bay, his face pale with disgust. "Jake, you need to see this. What we've discovered changes everything we thought we knew about the consortium." Inside the medical bay, strange machines hummed with alien energy. In the center of the room, dozens of tanks held what looked like tiny worms floating in green liquid. "What am I looking at?" Jake asked. "Mind control parasites," Kevin replied. "Every consortium leader we captured had one of these things attached to their brainstem." "They're not evil, Jake. They're slaves." Jake stared at the tanks in horror. "You mean the entire consortium leadership is being controlled by parasites?" Dr. Amy Foster entered the room with her Zephyrian partner, Simnara. Both looked exhausted but excited. "We've been studying the captured consortium officers," Amy said. "Without the parasites, they're completely different beings. Peaceful, confused. Many of them don't even remember ordering the destruction of entire worlds." Simnara's blue skin glowed softly as she explained further. "These parasites have been controlling galactic civilization for thousands of years. The real consortium species were among their first victims." Jake felt sick. So the beings who destroyed hundreds of worlds, who tried to eliminate compassion from the galaxy, they were victims too? "The parasites feed on negative emotions," Kevin added. "Fear, hatred, despair. They've been using the consortium to create as much suffering as possible across the galaxy, because suffering is literally what keeps them alive." A new voice spoke from the doorway, which is why they had to eliminate any species that chose hope over fear. Everyone turned to see Elder Cathara entering the medical bay. The Zephyrian leader looked older than when they first met, but there was something new in her silver eyes. Hope. "Elder Cathara," Jake said respectfully. "What will happen now?" "Now we rebuild," she replied. "But first we must free the rest of the galaxy from these parasites." Over the following months, the hardest work began. Lieutenant Colonel Emma Stone led teams to other consortium worlds, using the quantum communication array to coordinate the largest rescue operation in galactic history. It turned out that billions of beings across hundreds of worlds were living under parasite control, completely unaware of their true nature. Danny Clark and Neroth worked tirelessly to improve the quantum communication network, allowing instant coordination across the entire galaxy. Their hybrid technology became the foundation for something humanity had never imagined: a truly free galactic civilization. President Alex Cooper stood before the newly formed Galactic Alliance Council, looking out at representatives from over 300 species. Some were former consortium worlds that had been freed from parasite control. Others were refugee survivors who had hidden for centuries. All were united by a shared commitment to something the galaxy had almost forgotten: compassion. 6 months ago, President Cooper began, Earth made a simple choice. We chose to help beings who needed shelter. We didn't know it would lead to this moment. In the audience, Jake Morrison sat next to Commander Zarek and Elder Cathara. Around them, Beings of dozens of different species listened to humanity's leader speak about the future. Today, we establish new laws for our galaxy, Cooper continued. The Sanctuary Protocols. Never again will any species face extinction for showing mercy. Never again will compassion be treated as weakness. Dr. Kevin Ross stood to address the assembly. We've learned that the parasite species originated from outside our galaxy. They came here millions of years ago, spreading from world to world, using our own civilizations against us. But they made one mistake, added Dr. Amy Foster. They assumed that fear was stronger than hope. They were wrong. Elder Kethera rose to speak, her mental voice reaching every being in the chamber. The Zephyrians were cast out for refusing to destroy life. Earth gave us shelter when no one else would. Together we have shown the galaxy that kindness is not naive. It is revolutionary. The assembly erupted in approval, beings of hundreds of species cheering together. Later that day, Jake walked through the gardens of New Haven Station with his old friend Ryan Hayes. The station had grown into a small city, with humans and aliens living and working side by side. Children of dozens of species played together in the parks. Hard to believe it all started with a distress call, Ryan said. Jake smiled, watching a human child teaching a young Zephyrian how to throw a baseball. Sometimes the smallest choices lead to the biggest changes. They paused at a memorial wall that had been built to honor all the species destroyed by the parasites over the millennia. Millions of names were carved into the living crystal, each one representing an entire civilization that had been lost. Think we'll really be able to keep the peace? Ryan asked. Before Jake could answer, Danny Clark ran up to them, his face bright with excitement. Beside him, Neroth glowed with happiness. Jake, you have to see this, Danny said breathlessly. We just made contact with the Andromeda Galaxy. There are free civilizations there who have been fighting the parasites for millions of years. Neroth's mental voice carried wonder. They say there are entire galaxies that have never fallen to parasite control. We are not alone in this fight. Jake felt his heart soar. The battle for Earth had been just the beginning. That evening, the leaders of the new Galactic Alliance gathered for a celebration dinner. Humans, Zephyrians, Altarians, vegans, and dozens of other species sat together, sharing food and stories. Captain Marcus Bell raised his glass of Earth wine. A toast, he said, to the day Earth chose mercy over safety. To the Zephyrians who showed us that some principles are worth exile, added Admiral Kate Morgan. Elder Kethara's mental voice joined the celebration. To humanity who proved that sometimes strangers become family, President Cooper stood last. To all the beings who were cast out for choosing compassion. Earth gave you shelter, but you gave us something greater. You gave us hope for what the galaxy could become. As the celebration continued into the night, Jake stepped outside onto an observation deck. Through the transparent walls, he could see Earth hanging peaceful and blue in space, surrounded by the ships of 100 different worlds. 6 months ago, Earth had been alone in the universe. Tonight they were the capital of a galactic alliance built on the simple idea that mercy matters more than power. Dr. Lisa Parker joined him at the window. What are you thinking about? Jake smiled. I'm thinking about what we'll tell our children about this time. How do you explain to them that the galaxy almost forgot how to be kind? Maybe, Lisa replied, we tell them that kindness is like a flame. It can be almost extinguished, but it only takes one person willing to shelter it for it to spread again. Outside the window, ships from across the galaxy continued to arrive at Earth. Each one carried beings who had heard the story of humanity's choice and wanted to be part of building something better. The galaxy was learning to hope again, one world at a time. And it had all started with a simple decision. When strangers asked for help, Earth opened its doors. In the end, that choice had saved not just the Zephyrians, but the entire galaxy from darkness. Sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or weapons. Sometimes it's just the courage to care about someone other than yourself. The stars shone brighter that night, as if the galaxy itself was celebrating the return of compassion to the cosmos.